Welcome to The Health Advocates, a podcast that breaks down major health news of the week to help you make sense of it all. I'm Stephen Newmark, Head of Policy at the Global Healthy Living Foundation.
And I'm Zoe Rothblatt, Director of Community Outreach at GHLF.
Our goal is to help you understand what's happening in the healthcare world to help you make informed decisions to live your best life.
And today we have special guests joining us. We're joined by singer-entertainer extraordinaire Cyndi Lauper and culinary chef Michelle Bernstein to talk about their journey with psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis. So recently, the two of them have joined forces to bridge the worlds of music and cuisine to deliver a powerful message of hope and empowerment for patients living with psoriatic disease.
They're using their platform to share their personal journeys and insights to the millions of individuals living with chronic autoimmune conditions.
So Cyndi and Michelle, welcome to the Health Advocates. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're big fans, and we're very excited for you to join us and share what you're doing to help patients like yourselves around the country.
Yeah, we're really excited that you're using your platform to, talk about your patient journeys, and we'll get into that today. And part of our work is Stephen and I both live with chronic illness, and, we're patients ourselves, and we chat with patients all the time. And we're just looking forward to learning more from you today about your journey and spreading awareness. So, yeah, thank you.
So you have psoriasis also?
I have inflammatory arthritis and Crohn's disease, so a little different, but I can understand aspects of the journey.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I have it all. I have inflammatory arthritis, I have IBD, and I have psoriasis. So
Oof.
I've got the triple crown.
Yeah, you do. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Everything, I consider myself to be very lucky because it's all under control, and I know how to take care of myself. I know how to get the best therapies and work with doctors, and I live a pretty good life. So I'm actually very lucky.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. As are we.
Yeah, well, that's great to hear. So let's get into it. The first question for Cyndi, can you describe the initial moments when you first noticed symptoms of psoriasis on your scalp while on tour, and how did you initially react to it?
Well, I was on vacation.
Oh, I apologize.
After the tour. No,
Okay.
it was just after the tour. And I was in Spain. And I thought, because I had a kid, I thought I had like bugs from his helmet. He played hockey. So I thought, because they always have that, hey, somebody has bugs, whatever. And then when it didn't go away, and I went to the doctor right away, and he said, "Oh, that's not bugs, that's psoriasis." And I said, "Really?" And he gave me some shampoo, and for a while it was okay, and then it started to get worse, and then it got even worse, and then it was even more worse than it was, and I eventually was covered head to toe. With psoriasis, I had two different forms, one plaque psoriasis and the other the red spots on my skin. And it just everything just blended into one. So it's really bad, and I let it go too long. And that's why I'm here talking to you, because I realized that a lot of people have psoriasis on their skin and don't really do anything about it but get some cream or live with it. And I waited 5 years before I went to a doctor.
Yeah.
And there are some things that can permanently change when you don't see a doctor right away. And there are doctors that specialize just in psoriasis. It wasn't like I wasn't going to see a doctor, but I didn't go and see a doctor that just did psoriasis,
Right.
because when you have these skin things, if it's not recognized, it goes untreated or misdiagnosed or treated. For instance, nowadays, doctors are learning more and more and more about this disease, and if you find a specialist, they can help you before it's an inflammatory thing, an autoimmune inflammatory disease. And what's on the outside, you don't know. what's going on the inside. So you need to advocate for yourself. You need to find a doctor who actually knows about what you think you might have and recognize it, whether you have white skin or dark skin or whatever color skin, because now, years ago, they only recognized it on white skin. Now they recognize it because they study the disease, and there are many options for you that you don't have to live in pain. Like you guys, you've seen a doctor and you can live your best life as opposed to not taking care of yourself, you know. And even if you think you are, but you're going to ignore it, it's not going to go away because it's not really a rash. It's more than that. And what happens on the outside, there's other stuff that could happen on the inside. And that's why I'm here with Chef Michelle, because Chef Michelle, you can take it from there.
Yeah, so turning to you, Chef Michelle, like, you know, Cyndi's describing that she didn't see a doctor for some time. What was it like for you in the beginning of your journey and receiving the diagnosis of psoriatic arthritis?
You know, it's something I had never heard of. And I don't know if you know anything about the life of a chef, but it's not an easy one. It's extremely, you know, high in labor and many, many hours on your feet. You have to be pretty strong up and down to be able to do a lot of the things that chefs do. And I was noticing a few years ago that it became harder and harder to get up after a night's sleep, to be able to walk, even just from my bedroom to the bathroom. I had started asking my husband for help in the morning. My joints were aching, mainly my ankles, my feet, my metatarsals, my wrists, and my shoulders. And it got to the point where I could barely hold my pans in the kitchen. I couldn't put things in the oven because the pain was so bad that I was dropping everything. It got to the point where I couldn't trust myself. Now, you'd think that somebody would run to the doctor when this was happening, but, you know, I was approaching 50. I was going through menopause. I thought maybe this was just part of getting older. I was embarrassed. I was scared. I thought my career was coming to an end. I couldn't play with my 9-year-old the way I had always played with him. I couldn't even do, you know, I couldn't hide. I couldn't jump around. I couldn't do all the things that I normally, little by little, things were diminishing, right? And so finally, I spoke to my sister because I knew that she wouldn't judge me. And she said, you know, Mishi, go see a rheumatologist. I remember that a few years ago, you had a little dot of psoriasis, but my psoriasis was so tiny, it was like half of a pea size, that I didn't even remember that I had it. So she thought that possibly I could have psoriatic arthritis. I took her advice. I found the best doctor I could find in South Florida. Took me a few months to get in, finally did. Sure enough, as you know, you try different things. He led me directly to one medicine that incredibly worked for me. And I was really lucky because I know it doesn't work for everyone, right? You know, I feel really lucky that I have this solution, but, you know, it is autoimmune. And I know that through recipes, through different foods, I can maybe help even further my inflammatory problems. And, you know, it's been interesting. I've been learning. I've learned to, you know, definitely advocate for myself as well, just like Cyndi said, and to get out there and find more information, because the information is out there. You just have to look for it, and you have to look in the right places. And, you know,
We have the PS.
there's a website that that we are part of that is the psconnection.com, and you can find so much information there. Your listeners can find it. You can find my recipes on there as well. And, you know, if you feel like you've got something, go find a specialist. Just like Cyndi was saying, you know, you have to find a special dermatologist, right? Because not every
Yeah.
dermatologist can find.
No, because some dermatologists are
Psoriasis.
cosmetologists.
Oh, that's
Really,
true.
you
That's
know.
true. I didn't even
Listen,
think about
I'm a big advocate for cosmetology, honestly, right? But
Right.
when you have psoriasis, that's not going to help you. You need someone who deals with
Right.
psoriasis, knows what it looks like, studies it on all color skins, and understands the disease.
But it's interesting though what you're saying, because I made the mistake of going to the wrong types of doctors at the beginning of my crisis, and I finally realized that I should go to a rheumatologist. Not that I ever thought I would ever need one, or who
Right.
knows. We're all so ignorant, right? When all this comes about, you have no idea what's going on.
Absolutely,
And so
yeah.
Totally.
I was
yeah.
what I did though, and I think this was the smart way to go about it, was that I didn't quit until I found the best and the right rheumatologist for me.
Yeah.
And so I was really lucky. I really was. I found a great guy.
You know,
So
with all of my experience that I've been working with Novartis, the one constant thing that patients have talked to me about, and the other thing is when I started to actually talk to other patients with psoriasis, because I never
yeah.
did, you know,
Yeah.
what are you going to, hey, I'd like to sit and talk to you about my psoriasis right now. I know you're doing something else, but, you know,
Right.
but when you talk to other patients, you don't feel as alone.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
that was the big thing for me, big, because I started to isolate and start to feel really alone. And when I even pulled away from everybody, even my family, because I felt, I really felt like something horrible. And I wanted so much to run away. But when I was given this opportunity, I met other patients and it changed my outlook. And the one thing they said constantly was, besides the fact that it's not contagious, and that made you feel bad sometimes because people think it's contagious, it's not. But the big thing was they didn't give up until they found something right, until they found the
Yeah.
right doctor, just like Michelle is saying.
Yeah.
You can't give up. You have
can't.
to advocate for yourself.
and time is not on your side. So
There's that.
like Cyndi was talking about, her skin condition was getting worse. I know that year I didn't go to the right doctor. My joints are now, I can't go backwards, right? So the damage
Right.
is done. And I'm lucky that, I found something that works for me, but it was a good solid year in. So whatever damage I've done is done. But I
Yeah.
can move on from there. And so I think it's essential that not only, self-advocacy is important, but you need to get on it, and you have to get on it immediately.
Yeah.
Because first of all, as we all know, it's not like it goes away. It doesn't
No.
go poof, right?
It doesn't, but it moves. Mine moves.
But you can make it get better, right?
know.
You could possibly find something that will help you feel better
Mm-hmm.
and that will do better for you.
So that you could live. You want to live.
I was going to say, first of all, it's incredible how much you use the word advocate or advocacy, because that's what we talk about all the time on our show, is the creation of a community of patients who have similar or the same conditions, and really being a self-advocate for yourself. I'll just say really quickly, the first time my doctor told me that I had psoriasis, he said, it's a chronic condition. And I said, what the? I said, chronic? I never even heard that. I'm like, what? The only chronic I know is Dr. Dre. Like, what are you talking about, chronic? I'm like, what? What do you mean chronic? And I'm like, holy crap. It's like a lifetime thing. And like you said, yeah, it only moves in one direction. And the only way, if you don't take the steps to remedy it. So this is amazing advice that you guys are giving. So thank you.
No, thank you. I mean, what an incredible platform, for the two of us to be able to share with other people so that they can jump right in and hopefully find something that works for them, no matter what it is. We just want people to know that it's out there and to be more aware, right? And, what's funny is when you really think about it, and I didn't even tell my husband. I was so embarrassed because we're partners, and I didn't want him to feel like he was losing his partner. So, no one can jump in your body and feel your pain, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't do something about it yourself, no one else will.
Well,
Yeah.
my husband kept saying to me, he was going to take me to the hospital. It looked that bad. And I didn't want him to see me because, you know, with the skin thing, you shed, and it's gross. And I felt gross, and I didn't want to go out or talk to any. One time they said, oh, you should go in the sun. You know, a doctor who thought, yeah, just go in the sun. And I
That's
did.
crazy.
And I have scars from the
I
sun, from where it was on my leg. And that stuff, it doesn't go away. And you just feel like, okay. And I remember that year, they took a picture of me and it was on TMZ. And they thought it was mosquito bites. They said, well, that's a lot of mosquito bites. Look at them mosquito bites. And I just felt like, yeah, okay. You know, and what are you going to say? I don't say anything. But I just felt like, wow, you can't go out, you know? And so I would just
Right.
start retreating and not doing anything. My husband kept coming and going, you have to go to the hospital. And I was like, what are they going to do? They can't do anything.
Right.
So, no, finally I found a doctor.
I just want to get confirmation that not everything on TMZ is accurate.
I
that
know.
fair?
I know.
All right.
Well, thinking about that visibility and just, you know, going back to what you were saying about the stigma and, you know, feeling, unfortunately, like the grossed out feeling. So we have a program called the HEROES program, which stands for Health Education, Reliable Outreach, Empathetic Support. And it's dedicated to training beauty professionals, starting with hairstylists, about psoriasis and skin conditions to help break down some of the stigma. I was hoping maybe you could talk about, you know, what that's been like for you working with beauty professionals with psoriasis and how you feel like a program like this could be helpful, or what's the most important thing for beauty professionals to know about living with a skin condition.
Well, one, that you're not contagious. That's so important. And it was very important for the other patients. Two is, yeah, I use a lot of creams because for me, even if I found something that works for me, I find I'm always dry. My arms, your extremities are dry. So no matter what, you're getting up, you're greasing up, but it's not grease, but you know, you want to put a cream on. I found myself using the creams, and I did. A doctor once said it had some kind of. It's not just a cream. You can buy it over the counter. It has some kind of
Like a
acid.
steroid cream?
It's not a steroid cream. No. Just a moisturizer. That's all. And that you're drinking water, enough water.
But what would you tell, let's just say, like a hairstylist, what would you tell them aside from the fact that it's not contagious? Is there anything they can do to be
hated
more
it.
careful, or?
No, because
No.
if they're going to do your roots, and that's what really killed me, they had the hands in my head, and I was like, ew. One guy was very kind, and he said, well, I have women with psoriasis. When I put the bleach on, it gets rid of it, and it's gone.
Right.
And that wasn't the case for me. It didn't go away.
Right.
So it's hard if you're not gonna see a doctor for it and continue to work and try and look good. It was very difficult, very, very difficult. I love wigs. I wear wigs. I don't care. But I was wearing a wig that was long, and I was wearing net to hide the skin to make it look like it was skin. I mean, I know, but what was I supposed to do? I was on stage, and then when I came off and I took my clothes off, it was like, and there were my beauty professionals. And as kind-hearted, they were kind-hearted, and they were good about it. But I was very grossed out. And, you know, it's not easy to keep covering it up. you know. I even took baths with, I didn't realize how much I was detoxing. I started taking baths. I was going to really be a genius about it. And I took a lot of baths.
Right.
And I detoxed to a point where I was on stage once and I had global amnesia because I was running through the arena, climbing up the stairs, singing. And I got like halfway through the set and I had no memory of the rest of it.
How terrifying.
Well, it wasn't terrifying for me, but the people around me were pretty scared.
Yeah.
And then the doctor, when they took me to the emergency room, they were like, what were you doing? And I showed them the stuff and they were like, holy cow, you've been detoxing twice a day for a month? So it was, so you can't just self-do it. You have to find a specialist. It's better that way. I'm sorry I put myself through all that and the people around me. But I was afraid and I was ashamed because I felt like I was gross.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is fantastic advice. Just the idea that you can't let it linger. You've got to make sure that you find the specialist that could treat you and get on treatment as soon as possible. Be an advocate for yourself. And it's not going away on its own. It's not a rash. It's not something that goes away. Yeah. And with psoriatic arthritis, it's not a little pain or ache. You've got to deal with it. And the longer you deal with it, the worse it's going to be.
And there are options. You can literally find a specialist who does this and say, what are my options? And there's a bevy of them. Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
Right.
So there's, you always have options. And yeah, you can make it a little better. Make sure you put cream on twice a day or every morning or whatever. And try not to eat inflammatory foods. But if you have it bad, you should take care of yourself.
But as far as those options go, the only way to know that you have them is to go out and find out that you have them.
Bingo.
So,
right?
Yeah.
Well, one last question for you both. Is there anything surprising that you've learned about psoriatic disease since starting this campaign and working together?
Oof, I've learned a ton.
I learned about it. And I actually do have a little bump on my hand that because I had let it go, it's there and it's not going to go away.
I mean, what I didn't know, what I think either one of us knew was that it came in so many different forms, right? And ways and shapes and different for different people. And it's like never ending, right? So also that there is information out there to be had and how to find it, and that's why we're trying to guide people to the right places.
And that is the webpage, the PS Connection. You can learn about psoriatic arthritis and plaque psoriasis, and get a lot of information.
A lot of information.
And the one question I didn't get to ask, I really was hoping to get a recipe, but if we go to the website, we'll post it in our show notes. Will there be recipes there?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of recipes there, and
excellent.
And I try to add a lot of anti-inflammatory ingredients, cruciferous vegetables, a lot of capsaicin, things that you can really play with, but that are filled with flavor. Don't worry, everyone. They're fun. They're delicious.
It's a great cook.
But it happens to make you feel better. Thank you, Cyndi. As you're eating it. So yeah, absolutely. There's a lot.
Not a cook. She's a chef.
I'm both.
She's a great chef.
I'm both.
Yes.
I'm my son's cook.
Well, I'm definitely not a chef, but I could follow a recipe, and I look forward to doing that because anything to make me feel better. So we greatly appreciate all this information. As I said, we'll post it all to our show notes. And thank you both so much for your time and for all that you're doing on behalf of patients.
Thank you, Stephen and
Thank
Zoe.
you.
And thank you, Cyndi.
Have a good year.
You're the best.
Bye.
Well, thank you again, Cyndi and Chef Michelle. This has been fantastic, and we greatly appreciate your time and all that you're doing for patients.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your hope with patients.
Well, with that, Zoe, I don't know about you, I'm on a little bit of a high. That was a lot of fun. It's great to hear from people who are in the public eye about what they go through and deal with. And, it just shows these diseases that we talk about week in and week out, they affect people from all walks of life.
Exactly. And just like the experience of needing to advocate for yourself and find the right
Totally.
doctor, find your sense of community, the fact that like you could still feel
Totally.
alone, even, no matter what job you have, these diseases are really just like hard to live with. And I appreciate
Yeah.
how honest they were about that.
Yeah, I mean, I am definitely grateful with all the conditions that I have. I've never been the subject of TMZ following me around, taking pictures. So that's one less
true.
thing you and I have to worry about, at least until the show becomes more popular.
That's true. We'll end up on Dumois is what the kids follow. That's where you get little sources of the innings and outings of the world. So we'll see if we land on there. But I'm excited to try a recipe. We have our homework to do.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get together. So let's do this. Let's get together. Let's cook and hopefully get healthier.
Yes, absolutely. Healthy living with the health advocates.
Yeah. So, really quick, I know we always end with learning, and I'm just going to say, I'm just going to repeat, the learning is, these diseases hit everywhere, something we already knew. But even for folks that, may have more means, more financial means, the disease is the disease, no matter, and what it does to you, psoriasis, psoriatic arthritis, it hurts, no matter where you are in life.
Yeah, and I think something I wanted to highlight from both of them was just like recognizing symptoms early and, believing in yourself to advocate for yourself that something's not right.
Yes. Well, we hope that you learned something too. We hope that you enjoyed this episode. And before we go, we want to encourage everyone to check out all of our podcasts at ghlf.org/listen.
Well, everyone, thanks for listening to The Health Advocates, a podcast that breaks down major health news of the week to help you make sense of it all. If you like this episode, give us a rating, write a review, and hit that subscribe button wherever you listen. It'll help more people like you find us. I'm Zoe Rothblatt.
I'm Stephen Newmark. We'll see you next time.
Be inspired, supported, and empowered. This is the Global Healthy Living Foundation Podcast Network.